And I'm going to take a sip of tea. Okay, we now have live on YouTube, I believe.
Oh, there we go. Look at that.
There we go. Look at that. Okay, now we are live on the TattooNOW YouTube, the Reinventing YouTube, and a whole mess of the Facebooks. Okay, well, I'm going to do a short, abbreviated introduction. Thank you very much, Andrew, for listening to me talk twice. So if you're watching, it is just after 1 o'clock Eastern Standard on December 7th. You're watching the Reinventing the Tattoo Network. This show is the TattooNOW show, and we're just finished sacrificing to the computer gods. It's been a while, but I'm pretty excited to do interviews. I'm Gabe from TattooNOW, so I'm going to do this introduction, make sure that it's actually working with everybody. So please let us know in the chat room if it's working for you, where you're beaming in from, or tag a friend. And then we have an interview with Andrew Starbrick from New Zealand. So he's getting up very early in the morning, but not necessarily early for him. We'll talk about how his morning routines help him become get him the discipline to produce the artwork that he does. It's crazy. If you haven't seen it yet, you're going to be really excited. And if you have seen it, then you're also really excited. Anyways, point is, this is the TattooNOW show. I'm going to talk about the Reinventing the Tattoo Network that makes it possible while we're testing, and then we're going to get right into this interview. Okay, so welcome to Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo community, where tattoo artists, apprentices, collectors, and the curious are all encouraged to join into these live streams, to watch the replays, to ultimately share with each other, create better art and tattoos. You might be watching the replay on YouTube or on the Roku. You can be catching the audio version on the podcast stores, either in the Apple podcast store or the Android one. There is the apps, the Reinventing the Tattoo app. So if you go to the Apple store or the Android store and do a search for Reinventing the Tattoo, all of these ways ultimately will lead you to reinventingthetattoo.com, which has the latest information, the latest streams. You might be watching it live from right there. There's a chat room there. So if you want to chat into the show, then we can answer or ask your questions and talk about your comments. We might actually give some stuff away if people share this around enough and people are watching. But yes, the reinventingthetattoo.com also has Guy Aitchison's professional development canon, which started off as a binder like forever ago, and then it turned into a book with DVDs, and now it's this online, evolving platform. It's crazy. He just released a new set of videos they're all biomechanical videos with a new editor. He's really excited about the quality of these videos. The lessons are good for all tattooers, so despite the fact that it's a bio and you might know Guy for bio, he shows people how to tattoo. So in any event, check it out, Reinventing the Tattoo. There are some free lessons so you can get a taste, as well as keep up on all of these live streams. The weekly shows include Reinventing drawing groups that happen on Sundays. Monday we have Drawing with Tattooers with James Wisdom, who's going to come on and help me talk about art a little bit, with Andrew a little bit later this show. The Tattoo Weekly happens 11 every Monday. Let's talk feelings. Anyways, point is, go to Reinventing the Tattoo. There's a whole schedule there. Many of these live streams you can zoom into. We want to thank TattooNOW. I'm a computer geek. I do computer stuff for tattooers, help save time and less headaches. Guy Aitchison is the founder of Reinventing the Tattoo and the network, and makes sure that all of this is possible. Okay, I don't care if this isn't working anymore. We're just going to start doing the interview. Okay, it's working. You see it? I see it. Okay.
Yeah, I see it.
Oh, look at that. Amber's on. Hey guys, coming in loud and clear. Okay, well, Andrew, thank you so much for beaming in bright and early there in New Zealand. Do you want to let us know why you get up so damn early? And I'm going to start firing up some of your artwork in the background here.
Yeah, cool. We recently had a new addition to the family, so all of the sleep schedules were wrangled to sort him out and make sure we're up when he's up. So I found that after work in the evenings, for a couple of years there, I was always planning on painting in the evenings, and every single night I would have no energy or some excuse to to sit around and watch the telly or just laze around on the couch. So I decided I'd get up in the mornings earlier so that there's nothing else to do. Like if you wake up 2 hours early and then sit on the couch watching YouTube, you feel a bit stink.
Sure.
So there's not really any excuse for that. So if you get up at a couple of hours early and then you've got nothing to do, you may as well go and paint. So that's essentially what I did, and then I just kept sort of stepping the time earlier and earlier until I get up on average at about 4 in the morning now.
Awesome. I'm of similar ilk. I'm very much a down with the sun, and then I get up wicked early because I only need 6 or 7 hours in. So it's fun to find people that wake up early. It'd be fun, everybody in the chat room, if you're tattooers or whoever, let us know when you get up and start. It's for me, having that, it's real quiet. Sometimes I'll take my walk. Do you do any like exercise routine, or you just get up, start drawing and painting? Or the exercise I do is we sort of go for big walks or runs with the whole family, so I get up and get straight into painting, and then we have breakfast and go and do all the other stuff. So the only job I have in the morning when I wake up is put the coffee in and then go. Nice. I still haven't figured out the timing of that. Like, I know that I'm supposed to, but sometimes if I get stop being so loud, I'm like, oh shit, okay. Sometimes I'm supposed to, that's my cue to bring up the coffee, and sometimes that's my cue to stay away. I know that the one that doesn't get that right, but I will at some point. I just wake up with like so much energy. So often what I'll do is I'll wake up with some energy. I'll listen to something on the headphones, some news or some podcasts, and then I'm like rearing to go. And I have to figure out how to get in sync.
I take a while to crank the old engine up. I have to drag my lifeless husk out of bed every morning. It's just as hard every day to get up as it was the first time. But yeah, once that coffee gets into my face, generally I'm all good, and then I'll go and crank the tunes up and dance around and kick some shit and then start painting.
Awesome. It's amazing having kids or kid definitely makes the need for being productive with your time, just all of a sudden, or at least for me, everyone has different stories, right? But for me, I'm like, oh man, I can't fuck around anymore. It's time to take all of that time to because you don't have as much. So how old did you have? More than one kid, or how big's the family?
Yeah, so just the one at the moment, and he's coming up 2 now, so he'll be coming up 2 next month.
Wow! Oh, amazing! My wife teaches infants. She's taught infants for like 25, almost 30 years, probably, or maybe 30 years. And she gets them by the time they're 2, they're just about to be leaving her classroom. And the human brain is, as you know, it's tremendous. So okay, so this, I guess we kind of skipped to the present day. Why don't we start at the beginning? Okay, so Andrew, I remember I've been running around the internet in the tattoo world for so long. Every once in a while, there's people that come up on my feed. I'm like, oh, unfucking believable. And then 2 years or 3 years later, I'm like, oh, fucking unbelievable again. Oh, wait, I know this person. I think it was a year or so ago, all of a sudden I started seeing some of these paintings. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And then I was like, oh, wait, I have direct messages on Facebook from a long time ago where I almost got down there to help with an event or something.
Yeah.
Why don't we just start at the beginning here? Let's, how the hell did you get into tattooing and painting and all of this craziness?
So real working class family background, and I was born with a number of disabilities, so I was always sort of playing catch up with the other kids, and drawing was something that I enjoyed and got good at reasonably quickly.
Let's slow down just a little bit. So disability, I definitely know the feeling of having an odd brain. What kind of are we like dyslexia or
no physical disabilities? So I've got really bad hips, and it's like a genetic mutation, so I'm really short for my height, and so all the rest of the men in my family are 6 foot plus, and I'm coming in a staggering 5'2". So
oh shit, okay.
but yeah, so
that must have been pretty rough.
My
then,
kids, for
just
instance,
so,
that like my child, for instance, he'll be over 6 foot. Like I don't pass that on. It's just a anomaly that came up with me. So it's very slow as a kid, and I found it hard to physically keep up with the other kids. So I found some solace in doing things that required brain instead of brawn. So
sure,
yeah.
well, I'm done with that. And that's where you picked up drawing, like right from a very young age, like at the hospital.
Yeah, I
or
had
something,
I spent a lot of time in hospital. So back in the 80s and 90s, like there wasn't really anything to do in hospital at all. So mum used to bring me comic books and drawing material. So that's what I do.
I guess they get VR goggles now, right?
Yeah, it's just, well, you've got a phone with a bloody, like all the internet on it. We had once a week we could get a TV wheeled into our room with their 400-year-old copy of The Labyrinth or something, which was still awesome.
Sure.
But yeah, and no, just drew throughout high school, painted, stuff like that. My high school art teacher was less than supportive of my chosen path.
Was least supportive?
Yeah, comic book art and fantasy art was not art and had no value, therefore I should not do it. So yeah, they didn't sort of go, oh, you could do film, or you could do concept design, or you could do all this stuff. It's like, no, you're not painting this narrow New Zealand type modern art, then
sure. Which is admittedly pretty cool, or at least for the stuff that I've seen. But the art scene is so strange. It is amazing, at least here in the States, or at least where I was, kind of came online here. They teach you that you can't make a living at art, or like it's always like this crazy thing. And like as I got into tattooing, it's like, man, it's amazing because like this is the stuff that you can't like ship overseas. Like this, like art is literally it's you create it out of your brain and your hands and like some ingredients that compared to the value that you can create, very the time is the barrier to entry, and the dedication, not like you can do it, right? And again, with tattooing, it's like it's I love how it's very accessible and enabling. Again, you need to, it's exceptionally difficult, clearly, and the tattooing is the even more difficult, I suppose. But so you started by drawing and comics and replicating art school. You said not really art school though. You said
no, never. I was completely self-taught. So yeah. So just self-taught, and then after high school, I just was working in factory to factory, not really knowing what to do. I didn't know anyone that was an artist. No one in my family sort of had a job that was sort of based in their intellectual sort of little arty world or anything. So I decided at about 20 that I was going to go to university to do a fine arts degree, because that was my thought, was that was an avenue into the art world. And I was building up a portfolio to go as an adult student. And the portfolio I had was all on the back of the quality control forms from my factory that I was working in ballpoint pen. And I was too busy drawing on the quality control forms, not filling them out. So I got fired. And so with the money I got from severance, I got a tattoo.
You got money from severance? You got money for getting fired for like drawing?
Yeah, I got a lawyer because I was a tenacious little shit. So I got a lawyer and
Jesus.
I was real pissed off. I just wanted more beer money. But anyway.
Well, fuck it. If you could do your job and draw, then
Yeah. Then just because I wasn't doing it properly. So yeah, I went and got a tattoo, but I forgot the drawing. So I just asked him for a pen and drew it in front of him in ballpoint pen. And he was suitably impressed. So he asked if I was an artist and I had a portfolio. I was like, yeah. And so he booked me in for the next day and asked me to bring him my portfolio. And then, he's halfway through the portfolio, started talking about what it would take to be a tattoo apprentice.
Awesome. So let's slow down a little bit. So what year is this now? We're in
2004.
2004. Okay, so let me phrase in my brain, that's like a little bit after 9/11, like three years or so. Okay.
Yeah.
Computers are there. There's like message boards and stuff. We're using the computers in
not much.
New Zealand?
Yeah, well, yeah, there's computers in New Zealand.
I mean, I know they were there, but were you using? I mean, again, a part of it's like people were telling me like there was no internet back then. Like there was internet back then. We were using it to play
yeah, it was
online
all
Dungeons
look, it
and
was all
Dragons and text.
essentially,
But
yeah, essentially dial up and message boards and crap back then. And then
there was no internet back then. Like there was internet,
but it was, yeah, not everyone had, yeah, definitely.
Sure.
No, yeah, and yeah, so yeah, ended up after a small period of thinking about it, because I'd never considered tattooing before. Yeah, started in October 2004, and yeah, the second day I was there, he actually handed me the Reinventing the Tattoo binder.
Oh, awesome!
And said, take that home, read it, and then I'll start teaching you. So
sure, like required reading.
Yeah, he was like, it was like all of the things are in there, and I'll build off that. And I was like, sweet. So I went and did that.
Hell yeah! And then you got to I remember was it there was a New Zealand during one of the lockdowns. You came on to do a stream with Guy and Hoku and a couple other people maybe.
Yeah.
Awesome. So have you met Guy or how much
I have met Guy in the context of me approaching him at Hell City, I think, and going, oh my God, I love your work, bloody blah. And he said, thank you very much. And, quite graciously moved me on, which he was very busy. But yeah, no.
So let's see. So Hell City, which Hell City was this?
Jesus, that was Columbus, Ohio, I'm pretty sure.
Awesome. Yeah, that's one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, I went there. That would have been maybe 2008, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
2008. Oh, amazing. So it was the first year I did the Paradise Tattoo Gathering.
Then, I must have seen. I used to froth at the bung over going to that, and I could just never, because it was a couple of grand just to get to the States before anything else. So it was always like, oh man, I really want to do that. And
maybe we could find a set of sponsors and an exchange travel. So next October, I have dates set for next October 12th to the 15th is the next Paradise Tattoo Gathering at Jiminy Peak. And it's a beautiful spot. We've done a couple small shows through the pandemic. I'm definitely not. I haven't gotten sick yet. I don't have enough brain cells, to fuck with. In my lungs, I smoke enough weed that I'm like, I don't want to fuck with them at all either. And I don't necessarily need to catch up with people in person. I love doing this over the computer. I do love bringing people together in person and doing the show. Oh, well, that's cool. So it means you heard of the Tattoo Gathering back then. That's great. Well, it was a lot of the same.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And so who are the tattooers back then so who are I mean, I guess I want to talk about New Zealand tattooers. Because I know like Claire Reed's always, she from New Zealand, or I don't want to.
Claire Reed's from Australia, but yeah,
shit, I can't believe
yeah, it's a good. I went to I did Jeff Gogway's painting workshop, and I went with her and Mick Squires, and they're from Australia. Yeah.
Oh, I must have heard.
I was staying with them when we did that. Yeah.
Okay, I remember that trip, or at least I remember Nick coming through there. I mean, and again, this is probably how we all, became aware of your. I mean, how I became aware of your work. So that's an amazing trip. So that means that Jeff's work was getting over there.
Yeah, we got I can't remember which magazine it was, but there was a couple of Jeff's tattoos. I think there was a big tiger coming out of some bamboo.
Oh yeah, sure, of course.
Me and the guy that was the apprentice after me were just like, who's this dude? So we were just looking him up, and so that was his work informed mine for quite a while there.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. You know what? That was right around the time that when I first met him I suppose did I meet him or not meet him? I guess I didn't really meet him in Detroit. I didn't meet him. It was the first time I tried to meet him. I went to a tattoo show in Detroit, the Detroit Tattoo Convention, and I pretty much will use any excuse to not to talk to people, right, Frank? And I definitely don't want to sell shit to people. But on the other hand, I'm going to a convention so I could sell shit to people, so I don't have to get a job in another industry or whatever. And so, but Jeff was one of those. I was like, man, if I talk to him, I really don't even have to talk to anybody else. This guy's work is out of motherfucking control. And so I stopped in front of his booth, and he wasn't tattooing, and he was setting up or unsetting up or I was flipping through his portfolio, slowly for the third or fourth time because it's sick, but I'm like, man, this is crazy. I could flip through 4 times slowly and still be floored. After like 5 minutes, I mean, he is avoiding eye contact. Like he is like, there's no way. Like I am uncomfortable trying to make eye contact with somebody. I'm definitely uncomfortable trying to make eye contact with somebody who's trying to avoid eye contact. And I actually had to give up. I'm usually very persistent if I start, but and then I called and I left messages on his machine forever. Come to find out, I don't think he never checked the messages, and I don't think the phone was plugged in. But yeah, his work. I remember that era. And then it switched up too, right? So he was one of those, some of that realism that was flooring everybody. He got out of that pretty quick, or not pretty quick, but he's one of those fellows that just. Did you start by doing? I imagine at that time, then when you were there painting and doing that, is that how you? Did you do like your time as a street artist? Hammering out upside down infinity symbols and faith upside down.
We were smashing out the old arse antlers quite a bit.
Careful, this is beaming out in America. So we want to.
Oh, okay. Arse antlers. So, sorry.
I'm joking.
There you go.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So plenty of the sweet tribals and stuff like that. Infinity symbols down here. The rugby teams symbols, the silver fern. So we were doing a bunch of those on people, and just cut my teeth on street shop stuff.
Well, how many years did you do that? Like, and it seems like you were probably capable of, some serious.
Yeah, I was trying to push into realism, but there was a couple of people that were kind of starting to delve into that back then, and there was no one down here really. And yeah, I think I tattooed the piercer at our shop. And I just decided to do a weird, like, sort of caricature portrait of the guy I worked for. And I did that in black and gray. And then I was like, wow, that looks good. I'll try coloring it in. And what's the worst that can happen? And then that worked out really well. Nice. And I sort of just started trying to push that stuff on people. But there was a lot of pushback, especially Australia and New Zealand, that it would never heal or it would never last, or
sure.
We tried that in the 70s and it doesn't work and stuff like that, and they need outlines to hold, and a lot of it, some of it made a lot of sense, and I sort of respected the people that opinions came from 25 years of tattooing knowledge, but yeah, I was confident it was going to work. I was like, look, if I put enough black in this and I get the contrast at the edges properly, it shouldn't need an outline because it's essentially the same thing. Mm-hmm. It's not magically different because it's a line, and if it is, then I'll shade up to it and then line it. So, but sure. It worked. I mean, like that's what happened. The goalpost. Then it ended up most of them sort of went, oh, okay, it looks really good and it heals. And there's only a few holdouts that kept moving the goalpost to, oh, we'll see it in 2 years. And then when it still looked good in 2 years, is oh, we'll see it in 5 years. I'm like, well, when's this going to fucking end, mate? So, but sure. Now it's an established part of the industry, and there's, you see this back piece that you're looking at now. I mean, I think that picture's, the majority of that's completely healed, and it's a cover up.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously it looks way better in person too, right? Like this looks pretty sick. Like and this, I mean, like you could never capture the, the richness of the.
Yeah. But that's what it looks like, and that's healed.
That's great.
It's one of those things where I think, especially now, like with Instagram and stuff, and I find myself in that sort of camp as well sometimes, as all the tattoos on there are fresh. So I am very definitely had that drummed into me during my apprenticeship that a tattoo wasn't finished until it was healed.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just because everybody else doesn't have the patience doesn't mean you have to succumb to it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, or not obviously necessarily, but I do a lot of consulting and working with a lot of tattooers and in the computer space. So I can't tell you how often people are like, Instagram this and social media that, and how often and what's the formulas, and it's like you realize that if you do awesome tattoos and give people a great time, they're going to come back with their friends and their family. And if you're doing, if you really only need like 30 to, I don't know, maybe 100, 30 to 100 like clients to be like busy for the rest of your life, and that has nothing to do with Instagram. now that said, after 6 months of not posting, I'm like, oh my God, no one's going to know what I'm doing. But again, a lot of it depends on what the intended goal is, right? So like,
and I
like
mean, for me personally, the majority of my Instagram followers are nowhere near me. The majority of them are in Australia, North America, Europe, Canada, sort of thing. So they can only really get to me when I get up there. So yeah, I mean, Instagram does equate to work in some respects. It does get you. It is the sort of, I find it's the main vehicle for discovering new artists for a lot of people, I guess. But it's a necessary evil. I'd rather not have to do it. But the great thing about it is I can post something on there and it reaches however many people the algorithm allows it to reach. But it was
exactly. Well, see, there you go.
Certainly
like for me, it's
certainly
like
a better system than once a month. Putting an envelope full of printed photos together and sending it to a magazine and hoping something will happen.
Fuck yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, anybody that's watching the Tattoo Now show, I just always have that, there's the social media beast and the search engine beast, right? And it's like, the goal of the search engines is to deliver the best result possible. So when someone's searching for freaky sci-fi tattoo, or King Neptune, colored tattoo with penguin or what, that's fun, that's cool. The search engine, while it's not sexy, Google's job is to deliver the best result, something like this, right? Whereas the Instagram or Facebook, the goal is to keep you checking in, engaged, engaged, and to your point, part of that engagement is like delivering opportunity. And I remember there was a while where I was off the internet for like 6 months, 7 months, and I hopped on, and within 2 days I'm getting an offer to go to a convention in Europe, and I'm like, oh man, and I wouldn't have gotten it if I didn't hop on my Facebook and check my messages. But on the other hand, again, it's about using it as a tool as opposed to being used by it as a tool, right?
Yeah.
So James, I'm sorry, I got carried away. Is James still on here? Yeah, awesome. So I haven't exhausted my questions. I could talk forever, but I know that there's a lot of people that watch that are artists and painters and whatnot, and so I just want to bring in James as my pinch hitter interviewer. How you doing, James? Thanks for sticking around and hopping in.
I've enjoyed it. Thanks, Gabe. Andrew, it's really great to meet you, and I've also admired your work for a while now, and so it's very cool to see even more of it today. So
g'day, mate. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Good day. That's awesome. Yeah.
James, have you ever? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. James, do you have any particular questions or comments or?
Well, I think I'm just sort of like I'm really struck by how bodily, all this work is very for me. There's a lot of surface, right? There's all these surfaces. The body as a surface, the canvas as a surface. There's this varying degrees of depth that happens, especially in the liminal space. Like in this instance, these fish, to a certain degree, are sort of, pushed towards the viewer, almost beyond the picture plane in a certain respect. So I think I'm there's something there's this real relationship I feel to dreams, you know what I mean? Like dreams being this sort of this unintelligible way that we deal with all of our repression. Like we repress all day, and then you go to sleep at night, and then this is what your unconscious is trying to get out. And so I'm curious, I guess, about the process of composing these. I mean, are they? Is it intuitive? Is it sort of just sort of designed through?
I sort of I guess it's much like designing a tattoo, I suppose, but I start with thumbnails and everything with the stuff, but the genesis of all these ideas is always just a sort of a thought pattern or trying to explain a stream of thought. And that's why there's so much stuff in there. I'm trying to use as much symbolism or get as much in there as I can to sort of go into the whole conversation I'm having in my head, but just in one image, you know. So like this one here, for instance, is that this is me. It's not me, but this is me trying to break out of my own sort of restrictions artistically. I keep, you know, being a tattoo artist, there's always an audience, and the audience is usually the clients there all the time, and it's a constant feedback. You're trying to do art, but you're also trying to satisfy what they want to do. So when it comes to painting, one thing that restricted me a lot was I constantly was thinking, what do people want to see, and what does the audience want? And the times I find when I'm doing my best work is, excuse my French, but it was when I thought, well, fuck the audience. They get to see what I'm doing, and I'm going to do what I fucking want to do. So and then that's this. So this is me. It's called crabs in a bucket. So the old saying is, you don't need to put a cover on a bucket of crabs, because when you try to crawl out, they'll drag you back in. So and it's sort of art critics or other well-meaning people that, oh, why don't you paint more native birds and flowers and shit that Sharon would like to put above her fucking fireplace that matches her curtains, you know. And a lot of that came from me, you know. A lot of that was my internal, like, no one wants to see this shit, you know. And I'm like, you know what, I want to see what a horrible face pulling its way out of a vaginal opening with fucking too many fingers and shit looks like. Let's do this, you know. And let's tattoo her fucking face too, like just, you know. And everything in there's got meaning. But I get fascinated, as you said, with the surfaces. So like her skin's actually built up the way that skin's built up. I got that idea from what's his name, Christian Van Meenen. I watched a few of his time lapses, and being a horrible thieving artist that I am, I was watching him and going, that's how you do that, you prick. So I just did what he does. So yeah, you paint the surface, and then you actually do it like a tattoo. So the tattoo is under the skin, and then I paint the surface of the skin over it, so that it's physically in there like a tattoo is.
No, it's fascinating. And yeah, no, I think like you're talking about, good artists, borrow and great artists steal, or that sort of a thing. And these are just means, to your ends. And so I really appreciate.
I'm not stealing what he's doing. I was just stealing. I was like, I could do that. And then I was also torn. I'm like, shit, he does so many paintings with tattoos, and am I kind of like biting him a bit? And then I thought, I've been tattooing for 18 years. He's biting me. Fuck him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, that's what my biggest struggle artistically is my own inner critic constantly telling me it's not good enough, or no one wants to see this shit, or it's derivative or whatever. And the more I break away from that, the better my paintings become, I think, objectively and subjectively.
No, there's a certain sort of beauty to the trauma, and there's a lot of trauma, I think, in these, in the paintings, and the tattoos also, there's a lot of reference to this aesthetic that you developed in your tattooing. Even in the ones that are kind of like, I'm really attracted to the reworks that you did. It's almost like the cover-ups are cool also. I mean, everything's really great. It's just, some of the reworks were so imaginative and like, just, I don't know, sort of taken up to another level.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very cool. And I think that I like what you said too about, you sort of pushing back on these, these ideas about, let's say, outline, or just, conventional notions. They are important. So you're internalizing it, you're working through it. But again, you're sort of thinking about the principles that, that sort of underlie what would hold that kind of knowledge and
and I'm trying to take what is proven to work, like the old school tattoos with the big thick outlines and stuff. They work for what they do, and you can take the idea of that solid coloring and solid black work into realism. You use the same idea and technique that you use to do a big thick outline, but you use that as a basis to start a shade off, you're winning straight away. You know, that there's hundreds of years of proven behind you, you know, so you don't have to lose all that shit when you're doing the newer stuff, you know.
Oh wow! So, yeah, I don't think we didn't see this one in the earlier
Yeah, actually,
presentation.
this is from an Instagram artist. I'm sorry, I don't remember her name, but I did tag her in the picture, and she loves it. But yeah, my client was a big fan of this, of the Witcher and of her artwork, and so I sort of put my own spin on it. But yeah, it came out really nice. I was really happy with how this one came out. I usually don't do realism that small. And I was looking at it. I had a long, hard look at it, and I went, you know what? I think that's good. So I had a go at it.
Looks great.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, and the same sort of thing. Lots of darks in there, holding those lights together. And as the whole picture descends, it's black at the bottom, you know. And that's what's going to hold that together over time. You know, light on light might look good and can look amazing for Instagram photos, but I doubt that's going to last. However, I do see how I sound exactly like those pricks that told me my shit wasn't going to work. So maybe I should shut up.
Now, how many sessions would
that was one go?
This is one go at it. Now, would you typically do something like this with another session or 2 sessions, or are you finding great yields?
Most of my work, it's a couple of sessions. I find it. I work differently than a lot of other realism artists do. A lot of the guys and girls I admire sort of are like a printer. They work from the bottom up or the top down. And I'm like a painting. I'm everywhere all at once. I go into all the dark shades first. I might mark in some of the large areas. I'll block stuff in and then come through and shade. And I'm sure my clients really appreciate me constantly going into areas that I was working on 3 hours ago. But the proof's in the pudding. My stuff heals really well without blowing my own trumpet, but it does. And that's why my clients come back. It's because they get the stuff that doesn't just look good for the photo.
Sure. Well, now speaking of clients coming back, clearly you're wicked busy. I have no idea. Like, you're also, from
I'm
us,
doing okay.
okay.
So I'm not. Look, I one of the areas of my career I've always struggled is promoting my own work and stuff. So a lot of my contemporaries doing similar stuff to me down here are amazing at what they do, but have managed to hit that level of notoriety that they're sort of becomes a self-feeding system. You know, they work very, very hard for what they do, but yeah, like I've got, I think, 9,000 followers on Instagram, and most of the other people I know, that even some that come get tattooed by me, have 10 times that much, you know.
Sure.
And I'm not lamenting that. I just simply haven't done the work. I haven't promoted my stuff. I haven't pushed it out there.
Well, Instagram's old news for old people. It's TikTok now.
Yeah, and TikTok's one of those things that, like, I've actually talked to a couple of tattooists at the convention that was on the other weekend, and they were sort of we were sort of all talking about TikTok and what that means, and I think I found it a little bit with Instagram, where tattooing as an industry and tattooing, even the style of tattooing, shifted slightly to engage with that audience more. There was a lot more smaller stuff that could get done in a day. Oh yeah, I went and did my first big gallery showing was a group show in the UK last month at the Saatchi Gallery.
Awesome.
So that was a massive trip for me, that one.
Oh, hell yeah. So this is so you must have worked on these paintings. You have how many paintings did you
so
get?
There was 7 there. I think if you go back a little bit, there's a shot I've got of all of them. But yeah, when they asked me to do that, or asked if I wanted to do that, I think I had 2 paintings I was happy with.
Oh, no.
So I painted the other 5 in 2 months, I think. So that was a real, considering most of my paintings have a couple of hundred hours in. But I
And
took
then
them with me. I
oh, you took
made
with you. Okay, that makes
yeah,
sense.
I made carry cases out of plumbing pipes and took them on the plane. So it was a hell of a mission, and we stretched them there on the floor. So that was a giant pain in the ass, but it was a hell of an experience. So yeah, really, really cool. And yeah, I like I was talking about before, like I sort of started doing newer type work after I'd done the that crabs in a bucket one, or the two that I've got sort of pinned at the top, and then I was like, I want all my work to look like this. So that's what I was working on before I went up there. Yeah, that one there was a lot of fun too.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah,
amazing.
big
And now,
Ganesh.
do you teach seminars? So clearly, you're. Did you like teach seminars, or do you teach
Yeah.
apprentices?
I do workshops and stuff like that, and seminars. I usually do 3-day ones, but I have been known and am planning on doing just single day ones again. But yeah, it's essentially, yeah, I use a limited palette, so it's 3 colors in white, and it's a similar technique to what Jeff Gogway teaches, but sort of I've wrestled it into working with how I work a wee bit. So it's a lot different from what he does, but it's definitely based in that. I spoke to him about it years ago when I first started teaching. I was like, I'd already been booked in to teach because I was doing oil painting before I went and saw him. And I messaged him and I was just like, look, dude, like the way you taught me has changed the way I paint, and I'm just going to be teaching stuff, and it's kind of what you're doing. And he's like, yeah, go for it, man. Like just spread the love and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
So yeah, he's
awesome.
pretty cool like that, eh? So
Yeah, I mean, it's everything's flowing through everybody, right? Like no one's really coming up with anything without experiencing it from others.
yeah. That's my big shed that I do painting in now.
Oh, amazing. So you recently traveled to the UK. What other travels do you have coming up, or what's
I'm back in the UK next year for a holiday. I might do a bit of a guest spot over there, but I'm trying to wrangle doing some Australian shows, like tattoo conventions. I used to come up to the Nix show in Toronto every year. That was my big one that I'd go to a lot. And so yeah, I'm sussing. I might try to do a painting workshop or two in Canada, and maybe one in I've got a friend who's shop Brandon Collins in Reno, so I might go and do a workshop there as well.
Awesome.
Teach some painting. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Sweet.
Yeah, it's all sort of up in the air at the moment, but I'm really just trying to knuckle down and do the work. You know, there's a lot of cool ideas and stuff, but unless I'm physically putting paint on canvas or stabbing people, I can't manifest anything until I physically go and do the thing. You know? So that's what I'm working on at the moment. It's just trying to get my ass into gear and start smashing out some cool work.
Awesome. And you're sorry, I just have one last question, and then if James has any last questions or comments. So just to, like, as far as the younger tattooers and or painters, you're working on this stuff. Normally, like you'd be painting right now if you weren't having this interview.
Yeah. I just try to do even an hour a day, half an hour a day. It all builds up. Yes, all of this work has been done an hour at a time. So yeah, I just committed to doing an hour a day. It's 365 hours a year. If you can't do a painting with that amount of time, there's something wrong with you. So yeah, and it's just practice. I just do it all the time. Last year, if you look at my Instagram and go back about a year, last year I was doing a painting exercise every day. I'd do 10 paintings in an hour on the same canvas, just speed painting and erasing them in speed painting. It was all alla prima work. And that I got really good really quickly, but it was just practice.
Fuck yeah, awesome.
Yeah, it was just incredible like amount of work. So I really like that encouragement. Like it's like you're just one step at a time. You know what I mean? It's not like it doesn't happen overnight. Um, and again, constant practice. So always practicing. I think that's that's what I'm taking away from,
Yeah. My excuse was always like, I was always like, oh, I don't have time to do a painting now. I don't have 3 hours, so I may as well not do anything. And it's like, fuck, do 10 minutes, like do something, because it'll add up. It'll add up.
It's like a compounding positive effect if you just keep going at it just a little bit.
Damn right. Keep chucking mud at that wall, it'll stick.
Awesome. Well, I hate to cut it short, but the good news is we have another short or an interview coming up this Monday with the Tattoo Weekly with Jake and Lauren.
Even earlier.
Just a little bit earlier, yes. But like I said, it's awesome that you're getting up. Again, it's I appreciate there's a lot of other artists that are watching that are like, wait a minute, okay, I get it. If you're not waking up early to chip away at it, someone else is. I mean, I'll just end up with like, I love your attitude. In that attitude, it's there was years where I'd be hanging out at the bar with tattooers, and they'd be like, "Oh, you get to hang out with cool people, blah blah blah." Like Nick Baxter. I have no idea how Nick Baxter does it. And then we'd have shots, and I'd be like, "You know what Nick Baxter's doing right now?" And he's like, "No." I'm like, "He's painting."
Yeah. That's right.
And I don't paint. That's why I'm here drinking. My job is networking with people. But in any event, it was awesome. I'm excited to do it again. Thank you for letting me, again, I'm a little bit rusty, but you made it easy, and hiding behind your artwork is a real pleasure. It's awesome.
Thanks for having me. It's been great.
Awesome. Cool. Well, we'll catch up in the future, everybody. Now you have to